Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Karen Mikowski. I'm the leading investigator on any of my cases, parapsychology, paranormal investigations. Welcome. If you just watched my other video, welcome back. So, wow. Okay. So, this one's going to be very strange. This is case PDC05. This is my predictive dream cases. The weird ones. These are literally psychic dreams. Pretty much a lot of data. Excuse me. There can be predictions, or there can be, for cold cases, I can tap into energies. But what I tend to know the difference, whether it's if I'm having a possible prediction of a possible case that's going to happen, or if it's an actual cold case and I've just tapped into energy, deceased energy that needs just needs to communicate. It's as simple as that. So sometimes in dream state, when I'm in that real nice sleep state, it's easier for me to sort of like I'm always remote viewing, but really astral traveling too. I can get a lot more in that sort of, that's why for me, my psychic dreams, there's something about them. I just can't prove it. But again, it's just energy, frequencies. When I'm in that very beautiful state of consciousness, that nice, I can get so much. So I know there's possibly a cold case or a possible prediction case of what could become a cold case. That's how I like to get the data out. Or just literally a visual. I mean, this one, I got names and everything. I've got to document this one. It was yesterday morning, February the 26th, and I was having this at 6:15 a.m. Like, I literally, as soon as I came out of it, I looked straight at my clock, and I was like 6:15. So I don't know how long I was dealing with this, because this time's irrelevant in those dimensions anyway. But as soon as I was, it was really strange, because at first I thought, oh, you've got to be serious, right? I've got a dream interception. Someone's trying to like intercept my dreams. I'll be discussing that in another video. But dream interceptions are quite normal for me. Sometimes energy can connect me to a frequency of somebody. So they may be dreaming, and obviously if I'm in sleep state, the energy frequencies can be intercepted. So there may be something I need to see of that person who's actually in dream state, might need my assistance. And that's not unusual. Or you've got the other side of that, where you just got people who just like to, whatever they're into, they just like to try and tap into people's dreams spaces, it's a form of astral spying. Now, when I have to sort of go and connect to someone's frequency, it's not because I'm voluntarily doing that, right? I don't spy like that. I get sent there by energies, by possibly loved ones, by Supreme Divine. It depends. I don't willingly just go, I'm going to go spy on someone today, astrally. No. I don't do harm with my abilities. That is just intrusion. You don't do that, because it's the fastest way to lose your abilities and just get completely blocked by a higher source or force that's bigger than us, right? So I don't do any harm. Everything I do when it comes to that, I leave it to literally to source. Okay, the Supreme Divine, just send me where I need to go. Who do I need to help? Guardians, loved ones. Why if they're communicating with me, they want me to connect. They want me to sort of see something. So that's perfectly normal. But like I say, you get the little astral spies, and it's weird anyway. But they don't get in. They can't get into my area, into what I do. I'm very well protected on the ether. Is that right? Because of what I do, right? No one's going to spy. No one's going to get my data, my intellect, and my intellectual property, right? Or anything like that. I know, like, people like to spy, or they're into that sort of like witchcraft shit, and they like to sort of think that they can send blockages. Well, probably it would work on low vibes. You can send anything to low vibes, right? And a lot of shit will stick and get in there. I don't like people like this, because they're bad. I do a lot of energy releasements because of these people. When it comes to high vibrational people, nothing's getting into our energy field, let alone going to affect us. One, we can see it coming and it's like, really? I don't think so. Not today, Satan. And I'm just using that as an example of idiocy. But that's how we get our visuals of who's doing shady shit behind the scenes. We get to see everything. Like, if someone's betraying us, we're gonna get shown it. We're gonna see it all. So that's why there's a lot of people like me. It's not just me, but we get shown what we need to see, whether it's to protect us or protect somebody else. So that's just the way it is. Now, so my first thought was, oh, is this a dream interception? Okay, who's in? Okay, what's for the interception? Why am I? And then I realized, oh, this is. I'm not going to put the names out there. I did get some names. I got the name of the pet. I'm going to discuss it, but because I feel like once it's out there and I put it out because it's not happened yet. My first thought was at 6:15. The first thing I did was look at my clock and I'm like, oh, good God, has this just happened? Like, is this real time? I wasn't sure if I was dealing with a real time case. I'm like, well, I'll find out soon enough, I guess. But when I didn't, I said I went through the day and like I didn't hear anything and I didn't like on a grand scheme or anything like that. So I just put it onto a PDC case, a predictive case, dream case. But it's still like a bit of a warning, a bit of a heads up. Now, oh God, what I was seeing was, I was literally remote viewing and everything. I was like, in the situation, I actually felt like it was happening to me. It was that real. And it was that intense because I was what looked like an outdoor hotel complex, like sort of like a resort where you've got rooms here. And then you've got like the pathway. It's so weird. It's the only way I can explain it. And I remember I was, right down to, I haven't even texted the report because this was only yesterday and I've been a very busy girl. But, room number and everything. So I remember, now when I'm remote viewing in something like this, I'm probably seeing this from the visual point of somebody else. So I'm pretty much visually seeing what someone else is physically seeing or is going to see if it hasn't happened yet. So I'm right there and I feel like, and I'm stood on this pathway and I remember seeing this guy walking up the path towards me. And then I felt something really weird and off with him. So I kind of ran into the room. I'm assuming that was the room of the person, my room, whatever. And then I looked at the door. And it said room 15 as I walked through the door. And I quickly locked the door and everything. So I walked in, locked the door. And I do remember feeling like I was in like what could be a hotel or something like that. But outdoor, it was really weird. But again, it was enough. This guy was enough to sort of make me go inside the room and then lock the door. Then I was looking for the people. And it kind of freaked me out when I said and walked past. So, okay, so he's going to, so thank God he didn't stop and open the door or anything like that or not. I just watched him walk past. Now, I don't know if the lower numbers and higher numbers each way from where I was visually from 15. So I don't know if he was going towards a higher number or lower, unfortunately. But I was in room 15. And then I saw this woman, long dark curly hair. And she came, and because I had a peeped out, right? I came out the door and I looked, and then I saw the same guy. He was sort of waiting for this woman to come out. I've got a description of him and everything. I don't want to give too much away from that. Because if this hasn't happened, and it does happen, I've pretty much got the killer. I know exactly what he looks like and everything. Build, age, range, or anything like that. And then it was weird because, and I'm not going to say what was in the suitcase either, but anyway, they're walking up and I sort of pulled back in. But now it was almost like I wasn't in the room. I was still stood outside, but I couldn't be seen. And then I looked and the woman was walking side by side up towards us as if they're leaving the hotel. And she dropped a black suitcase and then it flew open. And then there's all, and I'm not going to discuss what was in that because it's to do with a lifestyle and that sort of thing. But anyway, there was stuff in there that was, and then as he stood behind, as if she was sort of bent down to pick it all up, he went behind her and shot her in the back of the head. And she was just like, oh, fuck me. Right, just like that. Just shot her in the back of the head. And then it was really weird because he just walked past. He just continued walking, and as he got opposite, right directly in front of me, as if, but he couldn't see me. It was really weird. He went to shoot himself in the forehead, right? He just sort of shot him. He went. I thought, oh God, he's going to kill himself. So it was almost like I made a suicide. That's what it looked like. But he sort of shot, and he moved it. It was like, so the bullet went over. And then he just continued walking off, and I'm like, and he just left her there, and I'm like, oh God, what the hell did I just see? Right? So obviously now I've become whoever it was that was actually looking, because I'm physically trying to see if this woman had a pulse. And she was dead. But then I remember standing up, and I remember looking around thinking, where the hell am I? But then in front of me, which is really weird, there was a street sign, and it said, oh God, I don't know. It's so fast, because I remember saying, where am I? Where's the location? And I remember seeing a quick sign saying frail or phrase. Okay, Foxtrot, Romeo, Alpha, India, S, Sierra, Echo. Either phrase, place or street. Or it was frail, Foxtrot, Romeo, Alpha, India, L, Lima, Echo, E. It was like, it was so fast, so I had to sort of write both down. Like frail place or frail street. I'm like, what the hell? So I don't know, that might make sense. He was shot at the back of the head while she was bent down. So I do have an age range for him. Everything he looks like, Caucasian, but everything he looks like. And then I heard the name, heard a man's name. What I will say is, what I was hearing was, he was either an ex-boyfriend or an ex-lover or a former client or a client. I don't judge people's lifestyles or anything like that. I don't. But they were very, they were together, like they were aware of each other. I was hearing client, ex-client, or possibly an ex-lover too, whatever. It could also have been an ex-boyfriend or an ex-whatever. I really don't know at this point, but I did focus, I did heavily hear, like, he's a client or an ex-client. Like, I don't know if there was another hookup or anything like that. But client, I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense, you know. And you don't need to, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand, a scientist to understand what that means. And because it's the awareness, it's, anyway, but do you know what it felt like too? Oh, this was so weird, what I was also getting with this one, which is why I was like, what? I don't know what this woman was involved in or what she knew, but it's almost like there was plotting. Like, what they were doing was obviously business, right? But there was more to it. There was plotting something. Like, really weird. Either they were plotting to hurt somebody, or they were actively involved in dodgy stuff, or possibly in the past, very dodgy stuff, and definitely to do with the sex trade. The, you know, the oldest trade in the book. So it was something to do with that. I don't know if it was to do with sex trafficking or anything like that, or I hope to God the intuition I was feeling was like kidnapping somebody. This is what I was feeling like. Are you seriously involved in sex trafficking where you're kidnapping women? Or I don't ever want to go beyond. No, I'm just going to stick with that part. Possibly sex trafficking. But in order to do it, they were kidnapping the women. So, and I was feeling like if that's what you're involved in, or you was involved in, and because you know too much, that explains the bullet in the back of the head, right? It didn't feel like she was a victim at all. She didn't look, or the situation was nothing to do with her being a victim or anything like that. Like, he turned up, she went out willingly, they were chatting and they were laughing and everything as they're walking, and then again something happened with the suitcase, it fell open, and she bent down to sort it all out. He went behind her, she probably thought he was helping her out, but then he just pulled out his gun and just shot her in the back of the head. And it was weird anyway. I just felt like I was just seeing someone's very near death. Again, it has to be. I had to put a data report together for this. I can't ignore this because it was so. There was so much like data. You know, I'm not one of those people that is like an eye for an eye or a life for... I like to believe in the justice system, even though the justice system's crap. Doesn't serve the... For me, my personal opinion, I don't think the justice system is designed or helps the victims at all. I don't really have that much faith in the legal system anyway, justice system. I need to see justice to have faith in it. It's very rare. But I'm not also one of those like vigilant, you know, I'm not really like that because I still, you know, doing what I do, seeing what I've seen, being where I've been and experienced what I've experienced, I still have my innocence. And to do what I do and see what I've seen and being where I've been, right? It's just me and experience what I've had to experience. I technically shouldn't have my innocence, put it that way. A lot of people can turn around and say that they don't have their innocence, right? And I'm not talking to people that know what I'm talking about, especially military people. They'll know what I'm talking about. I still have my innocence. So I'm very aware of how I see the world. Like, you know, hey, I'm all about what goes around comes around. I like to believe it's other laws of karma. You're going to get yours, basically. If you're involved or doing something really, the moment you hurt another human being for self-gain, anything, whatever you want, whatever you think you can just hurt or kill another human being for, whether it's money, sex, anything, I don't give a shit at this point. In life insurance policies and all that idiotic shit. I don't function or think like those people, right? Far too many people out there in the world like that. But I always really believe, well, I don't really believe in the legal justice system, you know, unless they're just idiotic and they just really get caught. I mean, they just leave a print, you know, a trail and everything. It's a bit stupid, but those idiotic, arrogant people that think they can beat the system, can't beat the system. But at the same time, it's like, depending on how evil you are, you choose to be, and what you do, what you're able to get away with, because if you're in this trade, right, you can probably screw a lot of important men, because it's a fucking trade for men. Let's not sugarcoat it, right? I'm a truth speaker. I don't sugarcoat the truth. It's a trade for men. So if you're going to be a woman that can sell her body willingly, she's able to get a lot of power from, she can screw a lot of powerful men. So whatever she's involved in or doing, she can get away with it for a certain period of time. But the problem, the danger of being in this sort of lifestyle is, willingly too, I'm not saying anything, is you know too much. You're screwing too many people that don't want the world or public to know what they're involved in. This is the oldest trade in the book. It's the most dangerous. It's not changed. This isn't something new. This trade is the oldest trade in the book. But it's always been dangerous. So, but it feeds, it's designed, it feeds the weakness of men. Right? That's what it is. The weakness of men is sex. and their penises, right? And that's it. That's why it's the longest and oldest trade in the book, because men are always going to need to feed that weakness in them. And there's always going to be women that are willing to charge for that weakness. Anyway, back to this, what it felt like. If this is something, it felt weird, like it felt, there was these hookup meetings for money, but discussing what they're involved in. Like it was more than just a hookup for money and a bit of pleasure for his weakness. Do you know what I'm saying? It felt more than that. It felt more sinister, like, but for some reason she needed to be silenced. And the fact that he did it, like, that's weird as well. It was so brazen. Like, he just shot her in the head and walked off. I mean, he tried to shoot himself first, but he didn't. He was a coward. It was weird. That was just weird. But he just walked off. And then he got into a van, and I think it was a white van. Couldn't get the registration plate. Because it was like there, like, it's like the car park was there. It's really weird the way it was set up. Like a motel, right? It's outdoors, isn't it? It was like that. So the fact that it was a motel didn't surprise me. But again, he just sort of got into his van and drove off like nothing just happened. So walked off, tried to shoot himself in the forehead. That was just weird. That didn't happen. So now let's just think for a minute. Let's just say, for example, this happens. Like, if this was to come to pass. Oh, good God, right? There is a stray bullet on those grounds. There will be a stray bullet that missed his freaking forehead. Opposite direction. So there's a bullet in her head. But the one he shot himself with, tried to shoot himself with, that became a stray bullet. So, God forbid this happens, when it comes to looking for evidence and things like that, you need to look for a stray bullet. Yeah, it was just weird. Anyway, sadly, that's what. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to give the names away. It was just so, like, as I was I knew when I was stood there, visually seeing this guy walking up, I knew there's something wrong with him. I knew something was off. That's why I ran into the number 15 and, like, shut the door and locked it. I knew there's something about it, so it's probably a dodgy area where this was anyway. But I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to see this person and this woman coming out, walking out together, like they were sort of leaving together, and he just, oh my God, there's something wrong with people today. There is seriously something wrong with their, I can't get into the minds of, again, so many different reasons, but people are just evil today, and evil is a choice. Do evil, insidious stuff to people, each other, it's really bad. It's just idea that they can just kill people just because they think they can. I mean, I don't know if this woman was part of a gang at some point. It could be all gang related, and you know how that ends. Those don't end either. They don't end well. There's no real sort of long-term goal set in those areas of life and what you're involved in. There's no like retirement package or anything. Had that. So, and again, usually when there's gangs, you gotta start asking yourself what the gang's involved in. So, but whatever it was, she needed to be silenced. So she was involved in too much, or she knew too much, or she was just messing around with far too many powerful men. And one possibly just had to put a hit out on her. He's not going to do it himself. One, he's a coward. He's a weak man anyway, right? But he's a coward. They don't do that themselves. They pay even weaker men to do the dirty work for them. So, I just say to women, be very careful. If this is what you're choosing to be involved in and you want to do this, you know, have at it. The world's your oyster. But just be careful. That's it. Don't really know where. I mean, again, like I say, I'm archiving this one, because if this happens, I feel like I'm going to know about it. I'll hear about it, and then I'm going to have to distribute the report to the police, or wherever it is, because there was no way I was seeing that much for no reason. And I know it's not happened yet. So that's why it's a PDC case. So take care. Be careful out there, ladies and men. And I'll see you again very soon.